Alrighty, folks, we're back at it with our latest Big Mets update segment. And to my 1,300 people watching right now for our post-game show, as this is live the night before, as I'm going to cut out after the fact so you guys can hear more about the updates. If you want this separate from just a post-game breakdown, make sure to check out the live show on YouTube here, along with wherever you get your audio podcast. Link down below in the description for all your Mets post-game coverage needs here on WardyNYM. And today we have some big updates to get into. Kodai Senga as a reliever, Brandon Sproat making himself a case to be a call-up before the season's end still. Drew Gilbert is doing everything in his power to warrant a call-up. Kristen Scott is continuing to ramp up. And DJ Teddy Bear Stewart is back. So let's break down all these latest Mets updates as you guys smash a like and subscribe on your way in. Thank you all so much for that. Let us know your key takeaways in the comments down below for the latest here in Metsland. And let's begin with Kodai Senga, because as we all saw, Kodai Senga was thrown on Citi Field prior to Mets Game 1 victory 4-1 over the Boston Red Sox that we saw there back at home after a long and victorious 7-3 10-game road stand. Kodai Senga back feeling good. He has quite a bit of ramp up still, but Kodai Senga, who cannot return the Mets until early September 26th, is in full line to be activated right around that time, barring any changes. There's been no setbacks, knocking on wood, thankfully at this point. There is no true limitations, or there's no issues rather with throwing hard versus throwing soft for Senga, as he has mentioned at this point. And he has now gotten the point that both him and Carlos Mendoza are in unison, as a further article through Tim Healy of Newsday will reiterate to you that you guys can check out separately, that the Mets are willing to throw Kodai Senga in the bullpen if it means that that'll be the most immediate way for him to impact this Mets team. Mendoza said it best: if we can get Kodai Senga to impact the Mets, even if that means as a reliever first to warrant when we can get him to return to positively impact us, we will absolutely consider that, but we just need to make sure that he is 100% fully ramped up and fully healthy. Kodai Senga still has multiple steps to go. He fully expects to begin hopefully throwing hard bullpen soon and really ramping up, and then from there can get back in the groove of beginning rehab starts in the minor leagues, and then ultimately back with the Mets here. But Kodai Senga, a guy who initially looked like he maybe wasn't going to impact the Mets at all until, or if they reach postseason play in October, now the Mets may have the potential to receive Kodai Senga back in the final week, in the dying days of the regular season. And the reason why this is so important is because even in a relief, in a limited role, Kodai Senga has been absolutely nails. We know how good this guy is. If you can have Kodai Senga even just after, say, 1 to 3 innings, I'm taking that Kodai Senga every day of the week. That's probably one of the best options that you could ever ask for. The ghost fork is disgusting. The fastball is lively. And in a limited sample size, just imagine what that hitter could do. He might even be able to unleash the tank a bit more and have himself really consistently touching 98 to 100 there on the gun. Kodai Senga has been brilliant for the Mets when called upon in such a short period of time. A man that, as Billy Epler signed him, little did we all know he would quickly become our ace when he had Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer also in the organization a year ago. Fast forward a year later, Kodai Senga's ailments has had him out all year long, but when healthy, he struck out 9 batters against the Atlanta Braves in 5 innings or so, and it looked gorgeous in doing so. Kodai Senga, I want to know your initial reactions to the thoughts of the Mets putting him in the bullpen. Should that be able to have him return to the Mets sooner than maybe what otherwise would take him a little bit longer as he continues to get stretched out? Really curious how you guys feel about that. Let us know in the live show in the comments down below. As you see, Kodai, as we see here, has no hard line between throwing lightly off a mound or hard off of flat ground for him, and he's ready to do that anytime. We saw Senga earlier today throwing on Citi Field, looking beautiful doing so. We love ourselves some Kodai, and that goes for it. It says he's working toward returning around the day he's eligible to come off the IL. He says, I just want to throw as many innings as possible for the team. And Senga says the Mets position standings will impact if he will return this season or not. Where we are in the standings, I know that the last couple of games are going to be really important, and because it's going to be important, I need to be 100% to get back. And that's huge for Kodai Senga. He had reiterated that he's fully willing to be in whatever role the Mets may call upon him, and I love the fact that Carlos Mendoza did not shoot this down. If this was Buck Showalter, Buck would give you 10 minutes of nonsense. Buck would have sat there the entire time and told you all but anything substantial. anything that could actually be an answer. He would just work around it the entire time, as Buck did. Not the case with Carlos Mendoza. He's a straight shooter, and I like that about him as a first-time manager quite a bit. So Kodai Senga, could he return the Mets in a relief role? We'll see what happens there, because let's not forget, Kodai Senga had quite literally the best swing and miss on one singular pitch in his ghost fork last year out of all eligible pitchers in Major League Baseball. His K to walk ratio was far better than what you initially thought it would have been initially in the first month or so of the season when he was walking everyone and their mother, especially on the road. Senga, as long as he commands a strike zone and in a limited sample size, could do wonders for this Mets team down the stretch. And when we take a look at that Mets schedule for, say, September 26th, September 27th, September 28th. That is right when you're in the thick of the gauntlet. The 26th is the Atlanta Braves series finale. The 27th, 28th, 29th is a final series for the Mets against the Milwaukee Brewers. I want to know, do you think Kodai Senga will return to the Mets before the end of the season? Kodai Senga and Carlos Mendoza have a lot of optimism on that front, but optimism and reality are two different things. So let me know where you guys stand among all my amazing Mets fans watching this live on a replay. So, and shout out to Shay. Oh, Enzo, I appreciate the kind words for both Shay and my girlfriend. Love you, brother. Thank you so much for that. Let's see, guys. Now let's get into the key updates on Brandon Sproat, Drew Gilbert, and others. Because as I said, Drew Gilbert has been playing great. So has Brandon Sproat. And this goes in hand with the latest farm report that we're not going to transition into from the games that transpired Sunday night. Because Sunday night, I had already did my post-game coverage at that point, and we saw some really key turnouts on the AAA level that I want to highlight with you all. And the Mets had themselves a 1-0 win against the Iron Pigs, and what I believe is finally their series finale against the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs there. They had one run, and it was Drew Gilbert absolutely tearing the cover off of baseball. Drew Gilbert now has 5 home runs in his last 11 games or so. Drew, who has no doubt home runs every single time I feel like he goes up there. And in case you guys don't believe me, just take a look at this. Let's pull up the Syracuse Mets real quick, and you guys will be able to see it with me. Every single shot that Drew has hit at the minor league level has been absolute nuke shots. And Drew Gilbert, who is fantastic on the base pass, who is fantastic with his power as a power hitting outfield option, could be a spark for the Mets to consider before the month's end. Surely if they want more than, say, a Pablo Reyes, who's going to be a great pinch runner for you and can be a defensive late game replacement, has MLB experience, but is he going to impact you the way that a Drew Gilbert could with one swing of the bat? Not exactly. And even though that, yes, Drew doesn't have the experience, he missed most of the season with injury with his hamstring, I would still argue that there is rightful arguments to be in favor of Drew Gilbert and what you're going to have there potentially at the major league level, even if it is only going to be in a limited sample size. I think he's a guy that you can warrant doing that for, where it shouldn't hurt much of his development. But as we see here, Drew Gilbert hit an absolute nuke, and this one, bomb, see you later, it's out of here there, right in my neck of the woods there in Lehigh Valley. If you know, you know. For all my PA Mets fans out there, Drew did great things. And you want to know who also did great things in this 1-0 victory? For the first time this season, Brandon Sproat was nails at the AAA level. Sproat was nasty, guys. As you guys can see here, we're looking at 5.1 innings of 2 hits, 0 earned run ball, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts for the Mets' top pitching prospect now. Sproat, absolutely lively, touching 99 plus on the gun 7 times that he did in the start. His most comfortable start now at the AAA level. Mind you, Brandon Sproat is 21 years of age or so, or 22, got his season started at the lowest minor league level for the Mets in Port St. Lucie. He's already up to AAA, and David Stearns, Mets Pobo, said it himself. We love what Brandon Sproat is doing, but he will not be called up until he has proven himself at every major league level. This is the first true test of Brandon Sproat having great success at the AAA level, and should this continue for another start or so, it would not shock me if the Mets do consider Brandon Sproat before the season's end, because in a playoff race where every game matters, imagine a flame-throwing rookie right-hander Brandon Sproat coming out of the bullpen for the Mets, or trying to eat a couple lanes for them that they're just trying to dot some corners. It would be electric. There's risk involved for sure, but man, oh man, I love the idea of Brandon Sproat getting an opportunity with the Mets before the season's end, and that is why I'm so pumped up to see what the future, what Brandon and the Mets are going to be, not only for 2024, but for 2025 and beyond. And guys, now let's get into what we saw with Christian Scott, because Christian Scott, Mets' original top starting pitching prospect, who was brilliant in the minor leagues, a great K to walk ratio, so good. Shutdown that we saw for 2 weeks has been ramping up since then from his injury with the UCL sprain, and this is what Anthony Nicomo has to say about that, and I quote, Christian Scott, sprained right UCL, has been mixing pitches off the slope, off of mound, and hopes to get off the mound for bullpen session soon. With 25 games to go, Scott is feeling good and remains confident that he'll pitch again this season. very happy to see that from Kristen Scott as well. Hopefully that he can be impactful for the Mets before the end of the year. I would be lying, though, if I didn't say that I've heard throughout the organization that I wouldn't be shocked if Kristen Scott doesn't pitch for the Mets again this season. I'm not exactly sure what is going to entail with him from now up until the end of the month here, but what I do know is the Mets can never have enough pitching, and Kristen Scott, who I do believe has potential to be a very nice middle-of-the-rotation starter for the Mets, truthfully, he has fantastic stuff, just has to be able to get lefties out at the major league level, has to make sure that he's not giving up the long ball every single start, because that has been every single start for Scott at the AAA and the major league level. If he can eliminate that long ball, good things will happen for Scott. He just got to stay healthy. So we'll see what happens with Christian, but that is the latest updates there. And then what we all saw that shouldn't shock anybody, DJ Stewart. Now that you guys have heard the news, because you probably watched the Mets game this past night, you saw him score a run first to third after Tyler O'Neill bobbled Luis Torrens double in the left field corner. DJ, who also bobbled a ball, did not have great defensive placement there that led to an Abreu 2-out single later in the ball game against the Mets. We saw DJ be pulled defensively after getting the start in left field. Got the start over that being in what we saw in a Tyrone Taylor or Harrison Bader, because of the matchup that they really wanted lefty-heavy batting lineup against Brian Bello, according to Carlos Mendoza. I didn't like the lineup then. I'm happy the Mets got the victory, but I do not want to see DJ Stewart in left field ever again. There's absolutely zero reason to put him there. He is just a liability. It's as simple as that. But DJ, who is batting right around 175 with the Mets with a just over a 600 OPS, was brilliant for a short stint this Mets season when things weren't going great, with big home runs against the Braves in Atlanta to secure a series victory, or to have some big bombs off the bench when you least expected it. DJ, who has a strong eye at the plate when he's right, is just in a very limited role for the Mets right now, while JDM is dealing with being a new dad for the first time. And from one new dad to another, congratulations to JDM, his wife, and his entire family. That is fantastic stuff for Julio, as he was put on the paternity list. He will return to the Mets in the coming days, but that is why DJ is with the Mets currently, and you can expect DJ to likely be sent down as soon as JDM returns back to the Mets lineup. And with that being said, everybody, that is going to do it for the latest updates in Mets land. So I'd like to thank each and every one of you, to our roughly now 1,400 concurrent viewers live on YouTube and Twitter X that are watching this in our post-game format, for chiming in. And all my replay viewers, let us know your key takeaways down below in the comments for all the latest big Mets updates here in Mets land. Thank you all so much for watching. Love you all to death. Let's go Mets, baby. The Mets are now 10 games above 500. 5-game winning streak. Let's continue the heater. Let's secure the series dub, and let's get that wild card spot. Have a fantastic night, day, evening, whenever you're watching this, everybody. And this is your boy Wardy signing out. Have a great one, folks. And as always, no matter what, let's go Mets. Peace.